back to the Wellness Check. Today, we are going to be focusing on the importance of being able to read into your body signs. In both Brainspotting and EMDR, I talk a lot about bodies in terms of where we're feeling certain things. And I think it should be in every therapist's toolbox to be checking in on where their clients are feeling things in their body to help teach them what that means and why it's important. So here's how it pops up in my office, whether I'm doing EMDR or Brainspotting or just checking in with somebody. There is a huge brain-body connection. Our brains are connected to our body and our bodies are connected to our brains. And many of us are just kind of going through day by day, not really understanding how our bodies are communicating to us each and every single day, whether it be a source of joy or excitement or fear or anger, or even something from your past. Maybe if you've been triggered and something is kind of activating you. We tend to be very cerebral about it and say, oh, I feel, right? Up here, I feel upset, I feel sad, I feel enraged, I feel panicked. But we don't often go to where that is in our body and what that sensation really is. And truth be told, our bodies will communicate to us that it needs attention of some sort before our brains can even catch up and realize what's happening. Our brains can be kind of late to the show. So if you can develop a skill of really learning to scan your body throughout the day a couple times, check in with yourself, you might be doing yourself a favor by being able to understand what it's saying and to give it what it needs. So again, here's how it goes in my office. If I'm doing trauma work specifically and we're setting up protocols for EMDR, we're really getting started, we're narrowing down a target and this is what we're working on, or we're developing something to focus on in Brainspotting, I will always ask multiple times throughout that processing, and where do you feel that in your body? And in the beginning, sometimes clients are like, what? What do you mean? Where do I feel it in my body? I don't feel anything in my body. Sometimes people who are really connected to their body and know the signs immediately can answer and say, oh my gosh, I feel that in my throat. I feel that in my hands. I feel that in my stomach. For some reason, my limbs, my fingers and my toes are feeling really tingly. And it's important to know where certain memories and experiences are stored. So some people feel everything in their gut, right? Every time I ask that question, no matter what we're talking about or focusing on, it's like, Katie, you know where I feel that? I feel that in my stomach. Okay, what is the sensation is my follow-up question. I probably could guess what that sensation is, but it is so helpful for a person to be able to talk about it and use words to verbalize what it is. Oh, it feels like a sinking feeling. My stomach just sunk. Or it feels like there's lots of little butterflies in there. It just feels very flitty and flighty. I feel sick. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Maybe it's something in the throat. Oftentimes, when we start talking about understanding your body's cues, things start happening more. And this is very common, very normal and natural. But if someone feels something in their throat per se, maybe the activation in their body is in their throat, we start to hear coughing, clearing of the throat, things like that. Maybe there's an acceleration of swallowing. All of this is, if you really pay attention, signs that your body is activated, that it's thinking about something, that it's going through something. And the more we know about that, the more we can do to say, okay, I'm tapped into this. I know what this means. This might be related to this or this. What is it that I can do to help bring this activation down? And all of this can happen in a split second before your brain has even caught up to say, oh, we're thinking about that one time when 5 years ago that happened. That happens later in the process. We're focusing on the throat. We're focusing on the gut and the stomach. We're focusing on the tingling in the fingers and in the limbs, and to really understand what that means. So my clients, I tell them at the very beginning, I say, you're going to hear me ask this a lot. And where do you feel that in your body? Sometimes I get giggles about it because it feels really silly. Why are you asking me about my body? That's weird. But after a while, and someone gets used to the process, I don't even have to ask it anymore. Someone comes up to me after I haven't maybe seen them for a week. Oh my gosh, Katie, I felt tingles in my stomach all week long when I was thinking about this, or when I was triggered with this, or when so and so called me into their office and said this. Awesome. I'm so glad that you are paying attention to those bodily signs. You have to remember your brain is connected to your body and your body is connected to your brain. So if we can do whatever we can to facilitate that connection and really get to know it more, the more helpful we can be to the situation at hand. You've heard me talk a lot about emotional regulation. Well, that's not something that just happens in here when we say, I'm sad, I need XYZ to make me feel better. It really has to be a full body experience as well. We have to say, where is that sadness landing in my body? What does that feel like today? And it might be different day to day. You might feel it one place in one day and another place in another day. All of that's fine. And what are we doing to give our body what it needs, and our mind and our emotion and our spirit and our soul and all of the things to really come full circle and be comprehensive with our self-care. Another really cool thing that happens during trauma processing is we will see a lot of the bodily signs move around. And that's actually a pretty measurable indication that processing is flowing, is progressing, is doing exactly what it needs to do. And the way that we measure that is not only by, is it kind of moving around, but how intense is it? So you've probably heard me talk in some of my videos about this Likert scale that we use, and it's called a SUDS scale, and it's from 0 to 10, where 0 is nothing, neutral, I don't really feel anything, I'm calm, cool, collected, relaxed. And 10 is I am at the highest of the high of what I could consider experiencing with activation or panic or something. And there's this gradient in between. So typically, when we're first setting out on the journey of trauma processing together, EMDR, history taking, brain spotting, setting up a target, we're asking not only where it's landing in your body, not only what that sensation is, but how intense is it? And that's when people really get to gain another skill of, oh, it's a 7 today. It's a 7, it's high up there. Or, oh, it's a 9, I can barely tolerate this. And you'll see that as the processing goes on in the sessions that we're doing this trauma work together, that the physical sensations might move. One day it might be in their throat. The next week it kind of might be moving down into their solar plexus. It might kind of come down into the deep gut system. It might go into the knees. The movement of that body activation is something really important to take note of. And also, as the therapist, we're looking at the activation of it. So if it felt like a 9 or a 7, by the end of that session, we are really working to get that activation down. We want to see that activation at least half, if not more than half, on the decrease, right? And of course, it's our goal to have people leave our sessions feeling safe and connected and grounded. So if we need to stop the session, stop the processing rather, a little bit early, and help ground and help resource to bring that activation in the body down, we absolutely will. We want someone to leave our office with a not very high number, to where they feel confident and composed and, able to go on through their day effectively and healthfully. So my challenge for you is to tap into your body as well. If you feel activated, if something is happening in your day-to-day life, instead of just staying so cerebral about it and solution focused, get into the body. Ask yourself, now where do I feel that in my body? And imagine doing this body scan from head to toe. If it feels right, if it feels safe, you can even close your eyes and do this body scan and see where there might be some activity. And there's really nothing you have to do about it, that you have to do in that moment about it. It can just be a note to say, when this happens, I feel it here. and we go on with our day. And if we need to cope and if we need to regulate through it, we can develop those skills to do so. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to develop that skill of tapping into your body, being able to read its signs, and to be able to take care of yourself from that angle. I hope you learned something today. I hope you can practice it, especially as the holidays are upon us. And again, as always, thank you for checking in with your wellness. I'll see you soon.